Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next in the personal year vibrations series with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. So as we go through the numbers, there is a link on each one of the videos that will help you to a separate video that will help you calculate your personal year number. Your personal year number is very different to your life path number. So your personal year is more about how you traverse through every single year, and your personal year vibration number will change every single year because we are in a different vibration as we move through the years. So here we are at number 3, and I know a lot of you are, I'm getting a lot of requests about when are the later numbers coming. They will be posted consecutively, so please, I ask you to be patient, and I send you so much love for all of your patience. So with that said, personal year number 3, the tagline for the personal year number 3 is I express. This is all about communication. This is all about, we'll get into that actually. This is the energy of the divine child. Now, for me personally, I see all of the numbers as not just numbers. I don't just see them as numbers. I see them as shapes, as colors, as vibrations, as energetic waves of intent that move through our lives. And the number 3 is the divine child. Why would you say that? Or why do I say that? I say that because it's a fusion of the one and it's a fusion of the two. So when you bring those two together, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, then you get the divine child. And that's what the number 3 is all about. Its attributes or characteristics are communication, optimism, joy, fun, self-expression. You know, it is literally the essence of communication. How we speak, how we listen, how we interact with people through our words, through our deeds, what we say. This is also the number of beauty as well, you know. And for many reasons that I will go into later, but when we talk about beauty, what is the true essence of beauty is connection, right? It's communication is the essence of connection. So ultimately, when we talk about beauty, the number 3 loves beautiful things, beautiful places, even beautiful people. So with that said, let's have a look at some of the blessings and the lessons. So the reason I split these into blessings and lessons is if you see my life path series, then you know why I did this. But just to give you a quick sort of refresher, so to speak, the reason I've split them into blessings and lessons is because I don't like the idea of positive and negative. There's too many connotations attached to those words. So if we call them blessings and lessons, we start to understand that these are things that will naturally enhance our year, and they are things that we might come up against as challenges. But within your lessons are your blessings, and within your blessings you may very well find that you can traverse some form of a lesson. So your blessings, the number 3 is versatile. It's able to flit around. So when you're talking about how this is going to show up in your year, this is the year to be that social butterfly energy, to flit about from one place to another. It's, you know, the one thing that I like about the 3 energy, I would call it ambidextrous. You know, it will do things with both hands. It will speak to, you know, it doesn't necessarily differentiate so much because it's all about all encompassing. So when we talk about the divine child energy, children meet everything with wonder, right? Whatever it is, because they don't know any different. So they just meet everything like it's the first time that they're seeing it, and they throw themselves into it wholeheartedly. To be truly versatile is to not be attached to any one thing, or to be truly versatile is not to limit yourself to any one thing or any one side of the pendulum, so to speak. So this is a great year for you to multitask, right? If you want to take multiple courses, Go ahead. If you want to, well, I might get in trouble for saying this, but if you want to date multiple people, providing they're aware and everybody's in the loop, you could very well find that this is the energy for it. This is the year for really trying your hand at pretty much everything. It's not a year for sticking with anything too heavily, and you'll start to see why as we talk about this. The number 3, the personal year 3, is artistic. Pick up a paintbrush, pick up a pen, go to a creative writing course, learn to play the guitar, any of these things, anything where you are tapping into your own innate artistic creativity is really favoured throughout the 3 year. This could be a year where you play around with your image, with your hair, with your clothes, with your wardrobe. It's a year for you to just find your own true, authentic expression of what artistry or artistic actually means to you personally. And this is the thing, whenever we talk about creativity, yes, it conjures up images of dance and music and drama and writing and painting, but it doesn't have to be that. Creative energy is the energy that you use to create something. It doesn't have to be an artistic vision, but this is a very favorable year for everything of an artistic or creative nature. So like I said, pick up the pen, pick up the paintbrush, learn to play an instrument, go to a choir. Oh my gosh, you could do so well this year with any of those things, especially where there are groups of people coming together for those same artistic or creative endeavors. Creative energy, right? This is all about it. And this is the thing, one of the things about when you think about the divine child, kids are always imagining things and picking up new things. And when they pick up a stick, it's not just a stick, it's a wand that you can, it just becomes this amazing thing, tapping into that creative energy, that childlike creative energy. It's very powerful. It's not just a stick to them, this is the sword of whatever, and it can smite down almighty enemies. And do you see what I mean? So tapping into that inner joyful, optimistic, creative energy could be really powerful for you this year. You could be a great storyteller this year. If you've ever thought to yourself, I want to write a book on A, B, and C, the personal year 3 is a brilliant year to do it, because you have the creativity, the energy, the artistic sort of temperament is naturally more accessible. The stream of creativity and artistic expression is, the ribbon is right there for the taking, so to speak. Personal year 3 can be very lucky. The number 3 in general is very, very lucky because it has that kind of happy-go-lucky, not tied to anything. In fact, the personal year 3, consider this year as like when you get beginner's luck, the personal year 3 is very much like that. It's like a whole year's worth of beginner's luck. And even if you're not a beginner at the thing that you're doing, you will just find that the number 3 tends to bring a very lucky sort of energy. And I want to talk more about this. Actually, let me expand on it now, because I'll forget later. I know I will. The number 3, the beauty of the number 3 energy, especially as a personal year, if you face a challenge or a setback, the challenge or the setback usually ends up being one of the key pivotal factors in how you push forward. It just turns out magically in your favor. The number 3 is very, very lucky, very fortuitous number. It really is. So when you get a personal year 3, enjoy it, right? And be present in the moment. Be joyous, be optimistic. And even if you're not necessarily an optimist by heart, you will find that this year you just have that sort of everything's going to be fine, it's going to work out for me. And with the number 3, it tends to actually do so. Sociable. Number 3 has a very sort of dynamic, connective, communicative, expressive sort of energy. I'll give you a little tip for those of you that have been watching me long enough. I was born on the 3rd of February, so three energy has, I have a love for three energy naturally. It's expressive, you know, very much so. When we talk about sociable, this is about connecting to lots of people. This is a year where your friendship base, social circle, acquaintances, network, especially network, right? This network your tushy off this year. Connect with everyone and anyone that you can, because the thing about the 3 year is it kind of sees you spreading the feelers, so to speak, far and wide. And when you build such a big network around you of friends, acquaintances, you know, maybe even professional sort of not collaborations, professional sort of connections. When you form this stuff, they might not necessarily be concrete this year, but if you form them this year, they tend to become important to you further or later down the line in some of the other numbers, especially a number 4 year. So whatever you kind of, you know, whatever network you create in the 3 year, when you have to knuckle down and drill down into it in the 4 year, you've already created that sort of network, and you've done it through fun, through enjoyment. So you've already got a better connection rather than just we connect on a work level and keep it all logical. And I hope that kind of makes sense. But yeah, be sociable. When you're invited to places, go check in with people. You know, randomly show up at people's houses and say, get in, we're going for, I don't know. I mean, I used to do this all the time with a friend of mine. I remember one day we bumped into a friend of ours. And because I said to my friend, I really want a donut. So we decided to hop on the train and go to the local superstore just because it was open at that time, and go and grab donuts. And when we ran into this friend of ours, he was like, where are you going? And we were like, oh, we're going to Tesco's to get donuts. And he was like, okay. You know, random little things like that. And it won't necessarily be about the end result. It will be about the journey. The number 3 is all about the journey. Expansive. And whenever I think of the personal year number 3, I always think of the 3 of Wands, right? The 3 of Wands as a tarot card is about expansion and growth, looking out there to the vision that you want something to become. It's like tapping into your own personal desire and knowing that you have everything at your disposal to create that kind of expansion. This is a year for you to grow the social circle. It's a year for you to grow and be bold and brave. It's a year for you to, and not necessarily like one bold and brave, like in the personal year 1, it's more about like, rah, come what may, whereas in the 3 year it's more like a, yeah, you know what can we connect with and who can we bring in to all of what we're doing. So yeah, it has a very expansive, growthful and expansive, growthful and or a fruitful kind of energy to it. So energetic. Number 3 is very energetic. This year you could find that if you sit still for too long, you feel like you're going to explode. Like you just have to do something. You've got to go out. You've got to do things. My advice to you, get out into the natural world. Connect with nature. Connect with people. This is a great year for any of you that are teachers or students. This is a great year to work with children, around children, for children in some way, shape or form, because you have the energy that is able to connect to them. No matter what your age is, you will just naturally get them more. This is a really interesting one as well, is in the 3 year, if you've got children, nieces, nephews, they tend to gravitate towards you more so than maybe even their own parents. And it will just be because you seem to get them or understand them more. And it's because the 3 year is providing you that sort of young, youthful outlook, you know, that joyful, optimistic outlook of, okay, well, you know what, how can we make this a game? How can we make this fun? How can we make this creative? And, you know, all of that sort of stuff. It's a really exciting year, the 3 year. Your advice is, especially because it leads into the 4 year, don't take anything too personally. This is not a year to lay down roots or foundations. It's a year to have fun, because when you get into your 4 year, that's going to require that sort of hard knuckle down energy. So your lessons, things that you might come up against or find challenges with or in this year, being frivolous. And I mean, the beauty of this is it's not necessarily too much of a challenge, but you could be quite wasteful or frivolous this year when it comes to money, because you're just off doing all of these wonderful things, going here, going there, traveling, commuting, taking short trips and, weekend breaks and, just literally traveling and going to different places. So it could be, when it comes to finances in the personal year 3, it's very much an easy come, easy go. And as long as you stay in that flow and don't get in the habit of sort of saying to yourself, oh no, all my money's going anywhere. This is a year where you can manifest, all the money that you want and need to do all of these fantastic things. My advice to you is, if you try to hoard money this year, the flow will stop almost instantaneously. Trust me for this. And it's funny because retrospectively, I've looked at all of my personal years over the last 10 year cycle, and I'm like, wow, it literally is bang on. It's crazy how accurate this stuff has been just for me. I can only speak for myself, but yeah, just in retrospect, I'm like, wow, literally this has just been all of that is crazy. So yeah, frivolous and wasteful. And this is the thing with you, well, not so much wasteful, with the frivolous thing, like I said, money will just consistently come to you, providing you're doing something with it. Take the course, go on the holiday, go and see friends, go to that invite, buy the theatre tickets, write the book, all of these things that you want to do, the money is there. It will continuously flow to you. So to keep that flow going, you have to remain open to that energy, right? You can't block it off by saying, oh wow, now that all this money's pouring in, I'm just going to hoard it. The second you start to do that, the flow will just stop. I can't, maybe I do know why. I'll delve into that maybe for another time. So wasteful. This is not a year to be wasteful, right? And this is kind of ties into that. You could kind of get into this, well, it just comes in so easily, I'll just do whatever. Again, temper that slightly. And if you don't need it and you're not really going to do anything with it, don't buy it. When it comes to stuff, when it comes to things, this is general rule of thumb, but more so in this year. Sycophantic. Don't agree with people just to be liked. There's a real temptation under the 3 year to do this. And when we say sycophantic, you could find yourself agreeing with people just for the sake of agreeing. And, for that reason, some people could see you as kind of almost like duplicitous or, contrary, because they're like, well, you just agree with anyone and everyone. And it's like, it's more a case of you're so, on the vibe of just enjoying life that you're like, yeah, that's cool. I can see that. And I can see that. And I can see that. And, before you know it, you're just kind of, don't become a yes man or a woman. Yeah, this year, don't become a yes person, let's say. So showy and lacks substance. This is one of the things, one of the 3 energy, and I'm guilty of this in my past for sure. When we say lack substance, sometimes with the 3 energy, especially in the 3 personal year, what you can find is that you want it to look good. All of the aesthetic is there, and you talk the talk, but when you start to dig a little deeper, maybe you don't know as much about the subject as you kind of suggest. And what I will say to you is, if you're going for a really important job, a meeting or anything like that in the 3 year, you could sparkle and dazzle. The problem is, if you haven't really done the underlying work in the 4 year, you're going to get caught out. So this is a year to maybe not promise what you're not going to be able to deliver at a later date. Unless, one of the good things is, I'll tell you a story that when I was in the theatre arts, one of my teachers told me is one of his friends went for an audition and they said to her, can you skate? Can you roller skate? And she was like, yeah, I can tap dance on roller skates. She knew how to tap dance, but I don't think she'd ever put on a pair of skates. So they gave her the job, and literally as soon as she got out, she ran to the nearest sports store to buy a set of roller skates and teach herself within the next 2 weeks how to tap dance on roller skates. And that's why I'm saying, so you could really shine to get the thing that you want, but when it comes to it, you might not necessarily know it. So if you get it, be prepared to start learning very quickly to back it up. The beauty of the 3 year as well, your mind, your psyche is like a sponge. You can just gain vast amounts of knowledge throughout the year 3. Self-absorbed. 3 energy on a personal year, you could find that because you are so sparkly and shiny and everybody wants to know you. It's like what does the Supreme say? She says, tonight, that it's like everybody just wants to know your name. Everyone wants to be in your presence. You shine, you sparkle this year, and you absolutely could. The problem with that is you kind of, if the ego steps in, you start, it's just natural. So just consider that this year. Fair weather. Don't be a fair weather friend. If you this is a year because you could promise everything to everyone, and this is the problem. We are human, we have our limitations, and because of that, you may find this year that you're not able to fulfill everything, and so therefore people are like, they talk a good game, but they're never really there when it comes to it. Just consider that this year. Fickle. Very changeable, and that comes into it. And this can actually be, it can be a real asset because you're able to pivot and change tack really, really quickly this year. Witty as well. That's one of the things that I forgot. You could be one for a zinger this year, like absolutely on it. But when we talk about fickle, you could be very changeable this year. Just very sort of like, I was doing that this week and actually next week I'll be doing something else. Just remember that if you are going to change lanes like that, not everyone's going to be able to keep up with you. So just let them know, that's the whole point. We have indicators on our car. Name dropper. They will name drop and place drop and, I remember that one time that I went here with so-and-so to that place in da-da-da-da-da, and it could, after a while, it can kind of grate on people. And the problem is you might not even realize that you're doing it because you're so immersed in the communication and the conversation that you're just telling people about all of the amazing things that you've done. Not because you're bragging, more just a case because you think that everybody wants to know. So just be conscious of some of these lessons. So what is the 3? I've got my trusty notes here. What is the 3 year a year for? The 3 year is a year to spend time in natural beauty. I talked about this. You will naturally be drawn in the 3 year to beautiful things, beautiful places, beautiful people. Anything that consider this as like a magpie year. If it shines and it glitters and it's handsome or gorgeous and sexy and lush and fruitful and vibrant, you're going to want in on it. Like whatever it is, you'll be naturally drawn to these things. Nature is not only free, but it's loving, kind and accepting. And if you can find a love of natural things, natural beauty in the natural world, you stand less chance of really getting into any of the nitty gritty. Give yourself time, give yourself over to fun, joy and pleasure. And as much of it as you possibly can. Find moments to laugh. Stop and smell the roses. If something is funny, let rip and roar about it. This will be a year where you probably have more of those, cheeks hurt, belly hurt sort of laughs than you've had in a long time. The 3 year can be all about that. And this is the year for laughter, fun, enjoyment. This is a year to really discover or rediscover your sense of humor, and that's really going to get you through this year. This is also a time where you could, where what you started could begin to sprout, and this is important. So if you plant in seeds in the 1 year, the 2 year is where the seed cracks open and starts to seek the light. The 3 year is where it sort of bursts above the thing and goes, okay, we're above ground, cool. This is where it just starts to be felt, just starts to be seen, or just starts to be noticed. It's not necessarily like the 4 year would see the flower start to grow and ascend and appear. Eat and drink well and new stuff. Find new ways of cooking, find new ways of eating and enjoying food. Try foods that you've never tried or experienced before. You could just go to town on it. And especially if you're doing so much, interconnection, you could find that you're drawn to new things to eat, new places to eat, all of that sort of stuff. But eat and drink well this year. This is a really great year for that. It's a year to be imaginative and expansive. Whatever you can perceive of in here, you have the opportunity, and you'll find that the people that you need to facilitate that sort of growth will very often show up. This could be a really powerful year for that. So if you can think it in here, you have a chance to truly create it out there. Allow luck and opportunity for growth and involvement, which is beautiful, right? So this is, usually we always say don't rely on luck. This is a year where you could do that. This is one of those, in fact, I think it's the only year really that you can, like, Aries is lucky in the sense that they have the gut, not Aries, the 1 year is lucky because you have the guts to go for it, and it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna make it work. Whereas the 3 year is about natural luck, where everything around you just kind of seems to pave its way to you, and you're like, oh, okay, that worked out, sweet. Go to any and every invite that you possibly can. Now, obviously, it's, like I said, with the whole fair weather thing, if you know you're not going to be able to do it, or you're double booked on that day, don't say yes, especially if somebody else is going to be disheartened. But if there are invites to parties, to sudden trips, sudden road trips, all of that sort of stuff, go ahead, and because the chances are you will have a brilliant time. This is not really a year for hard plans. This is a year for spontaneity and just, being present in life. It really, really is. Unlock your creative potential and find a hobby. It's a year to enjoy talking, beauty and creativity. Find any hobby, right? If you've always thought to yourself, oh, I wonder what it's like to, I don't know, take a water painting class, go for it. And because all of these things, even if you don't necessarily stick with them, you'll be richer for the experience. And that's what this year, the 3 year, really wants from you. It's all about experience. It's all about connecting to people through what you're doing. In fact, you might be that really annoying person in the photography class that did more talking than actual photography, but had a great time still, and everybody loved you because you were so great and jovial. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's not necessarily about the thing itself, but you could find that whatever you turn your hand to this year, that beginner's and natural luck is just there. Your mind's going to be working really fast this year as well. So you have the ability to process information. Any and every course that you can study, that you can get on, that you can, like I said, the funds will probably just turn up. As soon as you make that decision, oh, you know what, I want to take floristry, or oh, you know what, I want to study that, or you know what, I want to take tarot, I want to do astrology. Just go for it, because your mind will just be like the sponge this year. A year to keep it light, fun and free. A year to be the social butterfly, to look at your wardrobe, to change your hair, to, revamp the image, to zhuzh it and sex. Well, not that I've got any hair to zhuzh up, but, zhuzh it up, sex it up. And it doesn't, it doesn't have to be about sex, but you get my meaning. Just be present in your body, look at different colors and textures and stuff that, bring out your eyes, or, maybe make you look really good, or all of that sort of stuff. It's just there. Nothing too serious or long term. That will come in the 4 year, right? This is a year, like I said, you're going to be the social butterfly, flitting from here, there and everywhere. You're going to want to sample and taste everything. You want to drink a little bit of this and nibble a bit of that, and maybe a bit of them and a bit of them. All of that sort of stuff. This is not a year for, the 4 year will require you to put your feet on the ground, your head in the books, whatever that means, and work really, really hard. So your 3 year is kind of like the year we can, let loose and be a bit more fun, because your 4 year is that, and then the 5th year is, it's even more fun and travel and all the rest of it. So, I'll get to that. Consider your image and beauty outlook. Travel, commute, take breaks, see new places. I can't stress that enough. See new places, go to different places, talk to different people, connect with people on the internet, talk to people in person. You know, if you come across new people, say hi. In fact, anyone that, you know, you see them in the street and they're like, oh, hi, morning, da, 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 you'll be like, oh, yeah, that person's probably in a 3-year. Or they've got a lot of 3 in their, you know, in their name or their birthday. You know, look at me. I've never met a word I didn't like. Could talk the back legs off a donkey. This is a year to be lucky, to be expressive. This is a year to be cheeky. And I'm not rude, not obnoxious, not egotistical. It's a year to be cheeky. If there's something that you want and you think, do you know what, I'm going to go for it, and just haggle. You've got the gift of the gab this year, so use it to your advantage. If you think, do you know what, I'm going to see if I can blag myself a seat in first class, go for it, because the chances are you very well might be able to do it. You know, that sort of cheeky chappy, cheeky Charlie, cheeky sort of woman sort of energy. You've got that this year. Learn to play around with it, because, you know, in that you probably get away with more than you ever have before. Consider that. So your key piece of advice. So for everybody, for each one of the personal year numbers, I've tried to narrow down one key piece of advice that I feel like people really need to know. So your key advice for this year is have fun, laugh and enjoy, because next year is going to be all about the work and the really hard work at that. So this is a year to kick back, enjoy, have fun, and remember, don't get too hung up on mishaps or moments where you think, oh, do you know what, that was a stroke with the other stick, because the chances are whatever mishaps or challenges arise for you, they'll end up working in your favor anyway. In fact, people might get sort of a little bit annoyed because they're like, oh, even when it goes wrong for you, it goes right. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely that energy around a 3 year, so consider that. And that's it. That's what I've got for you for the personal year number 3. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you find these fun, informative. Watch all of them. If the chances are within your family, your social circle and your wider friend circle, you know somebody that's having a 1 year right through to all of the others. These are on a playlist, so check them out. And like I said, there is a link to a video on how to calculate your personal year number. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.